Hello, fellow Wolverines, and welcome back to Wolv TV SportsCenter. My name is Kaylee Shook.
And I'm Lulu Nisley.
In this week's episode, we'll be covering football's murder of CMU, women's volleyball's loss to Virginia, women's soccer's 0-0 draw against Ohio State, men's soccer's 3-2 win against number 1 Indiana, women's field hockey's 3-2 victory over Stanford, and football's upcoming clash with Nebraska.
This past Saturday, the Wolverines delivered a bounce-back performance, defeating Central Michigan by a whopping 63-3 at the Big House. From the opening moments, Michigan established momentum and control, outworking CMU with 616 yards to their 139. Michigan set the tone only 4 minutes into the game as Justice Hayes closed a 10-play drive with his 5th touchdown of the season. Later in the first quarter, Michigan extended the lead with a 32-yard touchdown pass from Bryce Underwood to Samaj Morgan, which gave him a career high in receiving yards in the second quarter. Michigan continued to establish their lead. Underwood broke off a 20-yard rushing touchdown, while Andrew Marsh also had a 23-yard run for the first offensive touchdown of his career. Central Michigan finally got on the board just before halftime with a 22-yard field goal, but not before Michigan squeezed in a 1-yard touchdown from Jordan Marshall. Michigan led 35-3 going into the break.
Coming out at halftime, Michigan leaned heavily into their running game. Marshall clocked in another touchdown inside the 5-yard line, and Underwood added an 18-yard scramble for a rushing score. In the fourth quarter, Bryson Kuzdal and Jasper Parker both scored their first career touchdowns on separate 1-yard rushes. Meanwhile, Michigan's defense shut out CMU in the second half, forcing 2 turnovers. One was an interception by Elijah Dotson, and the other was a fumble recovered off of a play from Troy Bowles. By the end of the game, Bryce Underwood had posted 235 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, and 1 interception. He also had 114 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. The Wolverines scored in every quarter, ran for 381 yards, and asserted themselves dominantly after last week's loss against Oklahoma. For Michigan, this matchup against Central Michigan simply couldn't come sooner.
The University of Michigan women's volleyball team lost their first match of the season at Virginia on September 12th, playing through 5 full sets. Michigan won the first and third sets but fell short in the 5th. They concluded their series on September 13th, Michigan winning all 3 sets to improve their record to 7-1. Allison Jacobs led the team with 16 kills, 2 aces, and 5 digs. Lydia Johnson recorded 10 kills on a .450 hitting percentage with 1 error. Jenna Haynes was the team leader in blocks, recording 3 and 6 kills on 8 swings. The team's next contest takes place on September 17th against Central Michigan at Cliff Keen Arena.
The Michigan women's soccer team took on number 22 Ohio State in Columbus last Friday, September 12th. A strong defensive game highlighted by a 6-save performance from goalkeeper Sophie Homan aided in the game, resulting in a 0-0 draw. They now look ahead to welcoming both of the new California Big Ten members, USC and UCLA, in Ann Arbor this weekend.
The men's soccer team pulled off an enormous upset over the weekend, taking down the number 1 ranked Indiana Hoosiers 3-2 on Saturday, September 13th. Joao Paulo Ramos, Kyle Pearson, and Grayson Elmquist all scored for the Wolverines, but the highlight of the game was a save from goalkeeper Isaiah Goldson on a penalty in the 90th minute of the game, sealing the victory and giving Michigan soccer their first ever win over a number 1 ranked team in program history. They look to carry this momentum on their trip to Seattle when they take on Washington next Saturday, September 20th.
The Michigan women's field hockey team faced off at Stanford on Sunday, September 14th. The Wolverines went into the final quarter down 2-1 before netting 2 in the final 62 seconds of gameplay. Notable performances include penalty corner goals from Juliet Manzer and Esme DeWilligan, and the game winner scored by Abby Tamer and assisted by Ava Bernardi. This week, the Wolverines opened Big Ten play, hosting MSU at Phyllis Soccer Field on Friday, September 19th.
This Saturday, the 21st ranked Michigan Wolverines head to Lincoln to open Big Ten play against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. It's the 14th all-time meeting between the two programs, with Michigan holding an 8-4-1 advantage in recent road wins in both 2021 and 2023. Nebraska enters the week at 3-0 behind sophomore quarterback Dylan Raiola, who has impressed early with efficient passing, throwing for 829 yards, 8 touchdowns, and no interceptions through 3 games. The Huskers rely heavily on the ground game, led by Emmett Johnson, who is averaging over 100 yards per game and more than 6 yards per carry. On the outside, transfer wide receiver Dane Key has quickly become Raiola's top target, stretching defenses with big playability. Defensively, though, Nebraska has shown cracks against the run, giving up more than 4 yards per carry, a troubling stat against a Michigan team that thrives on explosive ground production.
For Michigan, the story begins with Underwood, who's coming off his most dynamic performance yet, with 235 yards passing and 114 rushing, including multiple touchdowns. He's joined in the backfield by Haynes, who has opened his career with 3 straight 100-yard games, a first in Michigan history. That rushing attack ranks 15th nationally at 242 yards per game. On defense, linebacker Ernest Hausman leads the team with 20 tackles, while Cole Sullivan has filled the stat sheet with sacks, an interception, and a fumble recovery. In true Big Ten fashion, this game could come down to turnovers and explosive plays. Michigan has forced multiple takeaways in every game this season, while Nebraska has been clean with the ball behind Raiola's decision-making. If the Wolverines can establish the run early and control tempo, history suggests they'll keep their upper hand in this series. But in a tough road environment at Memorial Stadium, the Cornhuskers will look to flip the script and open conference play with a statement win. So how do you feel about Michigan's win against CMU?
I think it was good. I think it was the momentum that we needed coming off of the loss against Oklahoma. I think our play calling was really strong. I think Bryce's run game and passing game looked really strong, and our defense looked really strong as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think this game was exactly what they needed. You could definitely tell they were way more confident this game coming off from the loss at Oklahoma. You saw during that game there was kind of some arguments on the sidelines, and during this game you could just see them work very well together. So I think that was great. I think this is exactly what they needed, and I hope they continue to play like this for the rest of the season. That'll be all for this week's episode of Wolf TV SportsCenter. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kaylee Shook.
And I'm Lulu Nisley.
Who's got it better than us?
Nobody.